Hey guys, welcome to Scooter Street. Today we're going to show you a exhaust fitting and de-restriction on a Piaggio Typhoon. So we've jumped ahead a little bit because we have already covered the removal of the panels. So we'll just touch base on all the parts that we're going to chop and change today and give you a few details. So you can see that we've already disconnected the exhaust. So the emissions, the header pipe, and we've already got a prepared exhaust that we're going to use. We'll show you that in just a moment. So with the ECU, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can replace this. You can disconnect the black-white wire at the connection or just by simply cutting it. And then if we trace this all the way around on the other side, from the previous video, you'll know that this is the powering for the solenoid, and that controls the air going in to the carburetor. So because we've already pulled this apart, we've got a carby down here, and we have done away with our diffuser that sits in there. And this is where the airway goes through, which is controlled by that solenoid. This 2018 Piaggio has already got a 58 main jet in there. So we're going to stay with that and only adjust it as required. We're going to briefly touch on the transmission. So once again, we've already dismantled everything. While you're in here, great opportunity to make sure that everything's clean and tidy and not leaking. Also check your belt, check your pinion starter. So give it a good tidy up, make sure everything's lubricated. Check your cable, your nuts and bolts and screws, and all your adjustments. Okay, so we've pulled the clutch off. And by the way, that's a 34 mil for this guy. And we're going to replace that with some blue springs today. And moving across to the Variator, the later models, they have come with 6.4 rollers. So they're the factory rollers. Okay, we're going to get rid of those. And we're going to start with Malossi 6.1 rollers. See how we go. We may need to change those. So as we go, we'll do what we need to, what's necessary. While you're in here, check all your small parts. Check your guides, make sure they're in good order. It's no good putting damaged parts back together with all new parts. This is very important as well. Just check your fan. These fans are susceptible to breaking. They rotate very fast and they're only quite thin plastic. So make sure that's in good order, your nut and all your other controlled parts. This particular customer has chosen the Malossi Wild Lion. When it arrives to the shop, it does come with a restriction cone inside. You can just see on that particular area there, there was a small cone welded in place. So we've removed that just so there's uninhibited airflow. So the exhaust will breathe and work a lot quicker. So just prepare your exhaust before you go to put it on, and make sure that your bracket and all your nuts and bolts are all in position. When you install these exhausts, very important not to tighten the bolts on the exhaust head flange. Just put them in finger tension only, just so this bracket can move around while you're getting the placement right. Quick look at this finished clutch shoe. So what we've basically done, just removed the factory springs and replace them with these blue ones, which are a lot higher tension. And we've done that in order to get a delay on the contact of the shoe onto the bell. So when we go for a delay, what we actually want is the RPM to build up before it contacts. So if we have a look just at how it works, so the clutch spring is pulling tight this shoe. So it pivots off this point here. So as it starts to rotates around, centrifugal force will lever this out. Okay, so it starts to relieve the spring and levers out and grabs onto the bell. And once it contacts with the bell, then the bell, which is connected to the gears via through the rear wheel start to spin. So that's the whole idea of putting higher tension clutch springs. One thing that we'll show you as well is on these clutch shoes, you can see the shiny point there. That's the contact area. So the shoe's quite wide, quite long, a lot of length to it, but we're probably only utilizing maybe 50%. So this can be all drawn down. So obviously this is a high point. Just draw it down a little bit so it widens the surface area of the contact the shoe has with the belt, and you'll get a higher grip. So if you're keen, you can do that and your clutch will become more effective. So we're at the point where we're just starting to assemble everything. So I thought I'd just take this opportunity just to explain why we put pen marks on everything. So we'll just get this in the light. So if you have a quick look here, you'll see that the nut is up against the fixed surface and we've got a little pen mark there. So basically what the pen mark does is just signifies the location. So if we ever come in here, we're doing a visual inspection, if it's been loosened, we'll see that those two pen marks aren't lined up. So we'll need to retighten them or retension them. We're going to change pens and show you up inside here. It's quite dark, so it might be difficult to see, but we always put a pen mark on the variator face, and that signifies the position that the belt goes at top speed. So if this pen mark in there is all removed, oh there you go, you can see it now, then we know that the belt is moving to the top position as the variator progresses. Again, you'll see that we're going to put pen marks on here, and we'll also go into installing our carburetor. So very important with the carburetor to make sure that you check the manifold. So if I can get, there we go. So what we're going to do is have a look down in here and check along this manifold just to make sure in this position and also underneath there are no cracks. If there are signs of cracking, that needs to be replaced, which is quite easy. And while you're in there, really good idea just to check the reed valve and also the reed petals. Okay, so at this point, we're going to fit the exhaust body. So the first thing we do is get up inside here and fit the header pipe to the cylinder. It's quite dark there, sorry about that. But we're just getting a rough position. Then we're going to hold it in place and fit the two bolts. Now we don't tighten these all the way up. We just get them on about 5 to 6 threads, and then we move back to the body where it connects to the frame. So now once you've got your header pipe on, we're going to move into doing the body. So just take the smaller of the bolts and slide the washer in from the back. Now this is really close to the back wheel, but we're going to adjust the spacing in just a moment. And again, only finger tight, just so we've got a bit of movement on all fixings. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of tension on each of the fixings. So the nuts at the cylinder, we're just taking a bit more tension up on them, but we're not going to over tighten them. What this does, it self-positions the exhaust. So as we know with these Piaggios, where the exhaust bolts onto the cylinder, there isn't a gasket, there's no flat flange. So guys, this is probably the easiest sequence that we know of. If you, for example, came straight to here and tightened everything up, you wouldn't be able to get your header pipe on down up in here, and vice versa. Definitely do not tighten your header first, because none of these will position. So just get them all finger tight first so they all align, and then work on tightening up your tension. Okay, so there's your exhaust all fitted. If we have a quick look, we'll see that there's plenty of clearance on the nut and the wheel, and also we've pen marked all of our fixings so we can see at a glance if they have loosened. So the exhaust is fitted and adjusted all the way from the header pipe to the bracket. We'll quickly just talk about the emissions box, because this is where the original exhaust came up, and what we do, we remove that, and at the back here you can see that little hole. That's actually connected to a breather which goes to the transmission, and we've just put like a foam plug in there just to stop any debris, particles, any little bugs, and also just trim off your clips so you get a nice finished exhaust. So we're just going to do a quick jet change because we believe the bike is still lean. So it's got Ray changing the jet here, and we're going to bump it up just to the next size, currently 58. So we're going to take it up to a 60. And we've also removed the transmission, the Variator in particular, and we are going to run a combination of rollers. So this is the tuning part. So we've gone from the Molossi 6.1s, and we believe that we can get a bit more pull out of it by moving up the weight. So that's what we've done. So I've just got a trial set in place, and once we've done this, we'll ride it again and see what the result is, how we go. We went from 6.4 down to 6.1 on the rollers, and we're going to finish at 6.5 because we've got good pull in the transmission, and the RPM's still as high as it has ever been now that we've fitted the exhaust. With the carby, we found that the 58 original was a little bit too lean. We just weren't getting the right reading on the plug, and also it was just dropping off the power a little bit at the higher end. So we've gone to a 60. So we're very happy with that. The plug reads really good and everything's looking fantastic. So we've gone on this Piaggio Typhoon from just above 50 kilometers per hour now to 70 plus kilometers per hour. And then I sort of ran out of road in the local roads that we're riding. So we've done our carby, our transmission, we've done the clutch springs, and we've also done the Molossi exhaust. So overall, really good result. Not too much money to spend, just a little bit of know-how, some patience, and a little bit of fun on the way. So we'll just summarize what we've done with this Piaggio Typhoon 50cc. Originally it came in, it had a very loud exhaust, and it was barely doing 52 kilometers per hour, thereabouts with my weight, which is about 80 kilos. So what we've done, we've fitted the Molossi Wildline exhaust. It has been de-restricted at the header pipe, and that's really all we've done on this side. We de-restricted the ECU, and you might just recall that we did that just by disconnecting the wiring for the solenoid, the little air activator. And down the carby, we have done the main jet, finished up with a 60. And we've also done the lighter rollers. I actually think the rollers were 6.5, and we put some clutch springs in the rear shoe. So overall, pretty simple, simple bag of parts, and a really good result. Like it's revving, it's accelerating well, and it also gets to a much greater top speed. So the customer who gets this bike will be very happy, going from 52, and the fastest that I got it was about 70 kilometers per hour, and then I ran out of road. But that's really all we want. We just want to be able to go with the traffic, not be too loud, not really change the look of anything, but just have really good performance, and that's what we've done.